Hello everybody and welcome to the most uncommon ginger. Today we'll be talking about a small, tiny, little indie game. You may have heard of it. It was called Undertale from 2015. Before we even talk about anything, I'd just like to say a few things. This is my very first video, so the script may be bad and the audio may be bad too. I'm working in my room with AirPods. So if you have any tips or anything, any apps that I could use, I'd love the feedback. But let's jump right into it. Undertale is a game created by an independent developer, but before we can even talk about his masterpiece, we have to go where it all started.
It's rewind time.
Let's go back to the year 2006. He makes his mark with his first ROM hack of Earthbound, called the Halloween hack. I've never played it, but what's most important is the impact Earthbound had on the creation of Undertale. Mostly the writing. We'll see that later. After that, in 2009 to 2016, he would be a composer for the webcomic called Homestuck. I have not read or know anything about it. I'm sorry, this video is about Undertale, not Homestuck. I also hear it's kinda bad. But anyway, we go to 2015 when Toby Fox releases Undertale. Past that, he would do music for Pokemon and Smash Bros. But why was Undertale so popular, and does it still hold up? I guess without any more waiting, here's the Undertale retrospective.
Fingers in his ass, fingers in his ass. Kanye West, he lies, fingers in his ass.
I guess there's no better way to start this but with the start of the game itself. Well, you start with a tale on how humans and monsters lived in peace until one day a war broke out and monsters lost and were sealed underground. Then we see a small kid climb up a mountain and fall down a big old hole in the middle of the mountain. I think the next thing we should talk about are the characters. The reason why this game is good, this whole game centered around, is characters and morals for the choice of killing or saving everyone. So if they're not good, then the game's not good. But do they still hold up? Maybe not all of them. The first person you meet is a little flower named Flowey. And, they're all nice until they send out some friendliness pellets. But in the end, they just want to kill you because they are evil. But the best character in this game saves you. Their name is Toriel. And yes, that is a play on words for tutorial. And is exactly her purpose. Is to teach you the basis of the game, like puzzles and combat and all the such. But she's adorable. I love her. And if you don't, then I'm blocking you on everything. I might actually murder you. I don't know. In my script, I said that the tutorial never stopped me from playing this game again. This game is already really hard to play again, and I think now I disagree with that statement. I think the tutorial isn't bad, it's just tedious, but it does help you grow to love the character of Toriel more, which is needed for this next part, where she brings you to her house and makes a whole room for you, a pie and everything. But you start asking on how to leave the ruins, and she says no one's allowed to leave. And eventually you keep talking to her about it, and she goes to close the ruins off forever, so no one can ever leave again. But she says if you can beat me in a battle, you can leave. And this is yet again a point where either killing or saving matters. And I guess that's the perfect time to talk about this. This game has two endings, one where you save everyone and one where you kill everyone. I won't talk about the genocide route too much. This video will be mostly about the pacifist one, and I might make a part 2 on genocide and make a Deltoon video. I don't know. I want to make other things. We'll just see how it goes. But the point is, in the route where you save everyone, you convince Toriel to let you leave the ruins. And then you get to Snowden and meet everyone's favorite character, Sans.
月花飘飘，北风萧萧，天地一片苍茫。
Sans is an interesting character, and some people are a little bit too interested in him. But all you need to know about him is that his name comes from a font called Comic Sans, and that's what he talks in game. He's easy sultan that cracks buttons all the time, and he has a character named Papyrus, who we'll get to soon enough.
Tell me what to fucking do. I'm in charge here, kitten. Just remember this, Snowface. The more noise you make, the rougher I'm gonna be with you.
This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
As you make your way through Snowden, you meet up with the brother that I just talked about, Papyrus, who puts you through multiple puzzles to try and capture you so he can become the royal god. Unlike his brother, he's not as lazy and has dreams of becoming the royal god, right beside his friend Undyne, which we'll get to later. Eventually, you'll get past all of his puzzles, and that's kinda funny, but eventually, you'll have to fight him. And I haven't really talked about how combat works in this game, but the Papyrus fight is yet again kinda a tutorial, so I think this is the best time to talk about it. Imagine fights in this game like a WarioWare minigame. They work like every other RPG, you attack and then the enemy attacks, but instead of you standing there and taking it, you'll be put in a little box where you have to dodge attacks and you control a little horde. Farley talked about this in the beginning and saying that's your soul. Souls are really important in this game. We'll get to it later when I have to talk about all the lore stuff. But yeah, it works like a WarioWare minigame where you have to dodge attacks, like it's a minigame. But when you fight Papyrus, he turns your horde blue, and now you cannot float your horde around, if that makes sense. Instead, it can jump up and down, and it plays more like a platformer. And your horde will change colors throughout the whole game, and I'll talk about it whenever the need it to be brought up. But the Papyrus fight is fun, but really easy, and eventually, if you're doing Pacifist, it'll turn into a dating simulator thing, where you have to go to Papyrus's house and do a little dating simulator point. Stuff like this really makes the characters shine, these little moments where it's just you and them talking in a room. I like that stuff.
In advance, that I'm very sorry and I apologize for the inconvenience of me not giving a fuck what you think. Look at the fucking.
After that, you'll leave Snowden, and that's the first time you'll see Undyne, the royal god, also friend of Papyrus. And in that same scene, you'll see Papyrus talk to her about how he failed to capture the human. And then Undyne gets mad at Papyrus for failing his mission. So then Undyne will chase you down throughout Waterfall during that whole point of the game. The atmosphere of Waterfall is really good. The music is calming and eerie at the same time, while the new character that you just met, Monster Kid, tells you stories about Undyne and how powerful she is. And then eventually that calming music will get broken up by battle music as Undyne chases you through Waterfall. If anything, it might be one of my favorite parts of the game. The atmosphere, the music, especially that long shot of the castle from far away. But eventually that has to come to an end when you reach Heartland.
Air is not good! You're just being shy. Don't worry, buddy. You're doing fine. I won't let you blow this. What kind of place is this? There's no...
Standing way above you is Undyne, taking her final stand to finally kill you and telling you about all the other humans she had to kill. And she's going to kill you to add to her list. The actual Undyne boss fight here is pretty easy. All you really gotta do is run until you reach the end, or Undyne will pass out because of the heat of Heartland. You have to decide if you want to pour water and save her, or leave her to die here in Heartland. After that, you'll be able to walk around Heartland, and something in this game that I haven't talked about is the atmosphere. And the atmosphere is really good, and that's no different in Heartland. Now, I don't think it's as good as something in like Hollow Knight. There's definitely better games with better atmospheres. But that doesn't make this one bad. This one's still really good. Places like Waterfall are so eerie and calming, which I already talked about. And Toyo's house is calm as well. There's plenty of areas that have great atmosphere. I just thought I would add that before we move on. We have now finally made it to the midway point of the game, and in my honest opinion, I don't really like Heartland that much. I know I just said that the atmosphere is great, and it is. That doesn't make this point fun. I mean, it's fun, it's just the biggest drag of the game. The weakest point, the lowest low. Even though the rest of this game's really good. But why don't we just get into that? You start by going into the lab and meeting a new character who's a robot named Mettaton, who hopes to be famous and wants to kill you because they think that will get them views on YouTube. Maybe if I kill someone I'll get views. Whatever. But point is, you meet another character named Alphys, the creator of this robot, and also the royal scientist. She will help you do Heartland, do laser puzzles and such, and also help you escape Mettaton, who is going to try and kill you throughout all of Heartland. Alphys, for being the royal scientist, is super shy and always acts like she doesn't do enough and has something in her past. She also kinda has a crush on Undyne, but we can get to that later.
I don't know what this is, but it's kinda hot.
Mettaton really is the best part of this section of the game. It's really the only thing that kept me going. You'll see him again and he'll be doing a cooking show, and then he'll be a news reporter and you'll have to defuse a bomb, or he'll be in a play. And the best part is what Mettaton has to say. He's always in character, he's always acting. It's really funny, and I like it. We take a break from Mettaton and introduce a new character named Muffet. The first time you'll see her is her selling bake sales for an outrageous price, but she was actually hired to kill you. They never really explain why, kinda plot hole, but it's still eyes to either be Farley or Undyne. The Muffet battle is pretty good. It's actually probably one of the most unique ones in the whole game. It also might just have the best track in the whole game as well. It's a fun little boss where you pretty much have to get rid of all your money just to beat it. We're starting to reach the end of the game, so stuff might get a little bit more text heavy. Also, about to reach the Mettaton Hotel, so if you know anything, you would know we have a dinner date with Sans. Actually, you like this part of the Mettaton Hotel. Some of y'all probably liked it a little bit too much, but it's pretty normal. You and Sans get dinner, he'll tell you some jokes, as per usual, but then he tells you a story about how he used to tell bad jokes to a woman behind the door. He says that he made a promise to her that if any human would come through, he would protect them. But then the music cuts off and he gets all serious and says if he never made that promise, you would be dead where you stand. Then the music comes back on, and he plays it off as if it was a joke. He says that he's been doing a good job up until now. I mean, you haven't died so far, and he winks like he knows something. But none of that is the matter, because he gets up and leaves you with the bill. How rude. After Sans leaves you with the bill, you finally get inside the core, and you make your final encounter with Mettaton. Alpha says to try and get him to turn around and flip the switch on the back, but she seems super nervous about it for whatever reason. But when you finally do it, oh my gosh. I'm straight, but that's kinda hot. All jokes aside, this fight is awesome, the music is awesome, and yet another great battle. By the end of it, Mettaton is completely destroyed though, legs, arm, all of it torn off. Alphys comes up and says that she can repair him, but before you leave to finally fight Asgore, Alphys runs right up to you and says that you're the only friend she has, and that she doesn't want to say goodbye, but she understands that you have to leave. After you finally say goodbye to Alphys, you make your way through this long hallway, and in the background you see a big city that you sadly never get to go to. But eventually you'll reach a exact copy of Toriel's house, that's this time in black and white, with a really nice song in the back that perfectly sets the mood for the ending. As you walk through the house and the exit of the ruins, you get told about the first human to fall down here, and that human was found by a little goat kid named Aziel. He brought the child back to the castle. Aziel is the son of the king and the queen. I forgot to mention this, but Toriel is the queen. We'll get to why she isn't the queen soon. The human and Aziel are like siblings, but one day the human got sick. Their last wish was to see the flowers, and they're going before they got to see it, they would die the next day. Aziel, who was filled with grief, takes the human soul and broke through the barrier and carried the human body to the village and found some flowers to put them on. But the people of the village saw him and thought he killed the child. By the time he got back to the castle, he died. After that, Asgore thought that he would kill any human that would fall down here. Toriel hated the idea and left to the ruins, never to be seen again. After that, you get to this big hallway with pillars and glass-stained windows, and Sans is sitting at the end. He talks about what XP in Love means. He says that XP stands for execution points, and when you kill someone, you get XP, and your love goes up. Love stands for level of violence. He then says that you never killed anyone, and gives you a pep talk about what you're about to go against, and how you can change the course of this war. And it's a good scene and all, but in retrospective, I really don't like it. It gets way too edgy with the whole execution points, and I just don't think it holds up in the end. But we look past that because we finally made it to Asgard's throne room. But before we fight, we learn that he really wasn't all that was cracked up to be. He's super nice, offering you some tea and says to meet him in the next room when you're ready. But when you do enter that room, you see it's the barrier, the one that's kept everyone inside. He says he doesn't want to do this, but he must for his people. And the battle starts as he breaks your mercy button, and there's no choice but to fight. This is an intense fight, and the music is great. His attacks are pretty similar to Toriel, but after you defeat him, you can kill him or spare him. But no matter what you do, he will die. If you spare him, Fire will come up and kill him, and now he has the chance to take all the human souls and kill you and break through the barrier. And now the true battle starts. Okay, I know this fight was built up like really big, but it's kind of stupid. You can't actually die because Fire will keep reloading your save because he thinks it will make you suffer, as he says. I like the idea of this game doing a meta thing because this is done better in Genocide, but this is just too much, and this fight is really easy. At least the music is really good. That's it, to be expected at this point, you know. You can't attack them until you do one of these mini games to set the souls free. After you free all the souls, they all attack Valley, and you get the choice to kill him or spare him. The ending doesn't change no matter what you pick, but if you want the true ending, you have to spare him. After that, you see everyone you met along your journey, and now that you free everyone, and now that you got the souls, you're able to get to the surface. As everyone looks at the sunset, everyone talks about what they'll do. But after everyone leaves, Toya will ask if you would like to stay with her. Nothing will change no matter what you pick. There's any post-game, which sucks. But every time I get to this point, I think about your parents. Like, what do they think? Saying with a good person? I get it's nitpicking, but I just have to say it. But this can't be the end, can it? That boss fight sucks. Well, of course, there's 2 other endings I didn't talk about.
It don't matter. None of this matters.
Thankfully, you don't need to replay the whole game, just get pacifist. Fowley will tell you everything you've got to do to get the ending. You see, when you were in the waterfall, Papyrus calls you and tells you to come with him to Undyne's house, because he thinks you and her would be good friends. Yeah, obviously. This is why Papyrus is great. Anyway, when you do meet her at her house, funny moments happen, but by the end, you burn her house down. I don't know, I kind of zoned out down this point, because, but whatever, we'll get to the cute stuff with Alphys right now. Undyne gives you a note to bring to Alphys, so you go back to Heartland, drop off the note, she opens the door, and it was a love letter. She thinks it was made by you, but it's super obvious she likes Undyne. She brings you to the dump that her and Undyne go to all the time. She talks about how she would love to tell Undyne the truth, but she's been living her high. She isn't confident in being a good scientist, and she doesn't think Undyne would like her for who she truly is. She tries to practice on you for when she sees Undyne, but then Undyne comes up and Alphys tells her everything, and Undyne still loves her. So now gay fishwoman and whatever Alphys is are together. Also, Undyne, it's small character bits like this that make the game good. But the next part isn't so lighthearted as we make our way to the true lab.
Right now. She is such a bad bitch, though. I will fuck the shit out of that robot, man. I'm not even...
You go back to the lab and there's a note on the ground. It says that she thanks you for helping her, but she has to fix herself and be a better person and fix the mistakes she's made. If you want the truth, then walk through the door. If you do, there's an elevator and it'll take you down to what looks like an abandoned lab. There's screens at the lab entries. And by the way, I'm sorry if I get any of these wrong. I'm not 100% I got them right. And they say, I'm going to do what the king told me and find a way to save us all by unleashing the power of the souls. Thing is, we don't have enough souls, so I'm going to have to work with what we have. So I'm going to use monster souls. The problem with monster souls is that they don't last outside the body, like human souls, and monster bodies turn to dust after. I extracted the power of the human soul. I found that souls are more powerful than us. Maybe if I put some of that power into a monster soul, we could be saved. I like to call this power determination. Ascor asked everyone to bring in a monster that has a fallen body. Came in today, and soon they'll turn to dust, but what if I put some determination in them? If the souls persist, then maybe we're closer to freedom than we think. Well, things aren't going good. The bodies haven't turned to dust, so can't get the souls. I promised the families I would give them the dust for the funerals. What do I do? After reading all of that, you get to find out what happened to those monsters. When you find the key, you see this abomination of a thing. Probably the creepiest thing you've seen in this game. It's disturbing. It moves all over the place. It looks like it's melting. This is the only time I'll talk about the fights in this area. From here on out, it's all war. Nothing is happening. I don't know what to do. I'll just keep injecting everything with determination. I want this to work. One of the bodies opened its eyes. Everyone that had fallen down has woken up. They're all walking around and talking like nothing is wrong. I thought they were goners. By the way, I forgot to mention that fallen means a monster that is dead but hasn't turned to dust yet. But at least we got a happy end out of it. I sent the souls and the vessels back to Asgard, and I called all the families and told them everyone is alive. I'll send everyone back tomorrow. No. The families keep calling me. What am I supposed to say? I don't even answer the phone anymore. Asgard left me 5 messages today. 4 about everyone being angry, and 1 about this cute teacup that looks like me. Thanks, Asgard. After all that, you reach the end of the lab, and before a bunch of monsters attack you, Alphys comes in to stop it. After that, she tells you everything. She said, during my research, I isolated a power. I called it determination. I injected it into dying monsters so their souls would last after death. But the experiment failed. You see, unlike humans, monsters' bodies don't have enough physical matter to take those concentrations of determination. Their bodies started to melt and lost the physicality they had. Pretty soon, all of the test subjects had melted together into those. Seeing them like this, I knew I couldn't tell their families about it. I couldn't tell anyone about it, no matter how much everyone was asking me. And I was too afraid to do any more work, knowing everything I'd done so far had been such a horrific failure. But now I've changed my mind about all this. I'm going to tell everyone what I've done. It's going to be hard, being honest, believing in myself. I'm sure there will be times where I struggle. I'm sure there will be times where I screw up. But knowing deep down that I have friends to fall back on, I know it'll be a lot easier to stand on my own. Thank you. Then all of those monsters come in, and she says, come on guys, it's time for everyone to go home. And that's everything that happens in the True Lab. Yes, I know about the tapes, but this video is going on for too long anyway, so let's just get to the end. You get back and see Asgore again, but this time when he tries to fight you, Toriel stops Asgore. But she's not the only one there, everyone is. How nice. Now Asgore won't kill. What a happy ending. Hope you didn't like it, because Fowey comes in, and when no one was looking, he took all the souls, and has everyone trapped. And he took all your friends' souls, and the horrific monster he turns into was a cute goat boy. He says that he was so tired of being a flower. He asked you if you are an old friend, and then transform into a big goat boy, and proclaims that his name is Azure Dreamer, and the final battle begins again.
The color is vintage. The fit is flawless. The size I'm wearing is a small. Sleeve length, not too long, covering up the guns, gentlemen. Perfect tricep exposure.
Now, let's take a second to talk about this. The music is another banging track, just like this whole game. And his design is a mix of Asgore and Toriel. But the battle has a problem that the last battle had. You can't die. When you do, it says your soul refused to die. But I don't know about you, but I just don't like how there isn't any real challenge with these final bosses. But you don't have to worry about that because I'm saving all the hard bosses anyway. The first phase is easy. After one more powerful attack, he says he's only been using a fraction of his power. This is not even my final form. That's pretty much what he says, and transforms into his last phase, which is his final form. Anyway, 2 back-to-back banging tracks. Besides that, his design is really cool. I like how his wings are the background of the last phase. It looks awesome, but you aren't fighting him really. But what you are fighting is everyone else, the people they met along the way. You must save their souls and help them remember who they are and who you are. After you save everyone, there's still one more, and of course it's Agile. After remembering his old friend, he goes back into his old form and says his goodbyes, because he's going to break the barrier and sacrifice his body and go back into fire. And yet again, you look out into the sunset with all your friends. But despite everything, it's still you. Now, in conclusion, does this game still hold up like it was in 2016? Yes, no doubt in my mind. Its sequel might be better, but still, this game is amazing and had such a big mark on the internet, for better and for worse. But it opened so many doors for its creator, Toby Fox, who got his character into Smash of all things, and is even making music for Pokemon games. It's a great game and super cheap. If you haven't played it, what are you doing? Go play it now. Hey, thank you so much for watching my look back on Undertale. But you may have noticed that I didn't talk about genocide. Well, that's because I'm giving it its own video. I will get really deep into the lore in that one, so it should be long, and I think it deserves its own video. Also, if I get anything wrong or miss anything in this video, please tell me, and I'll talk about it in the next one. Also, just because this is my first video does not mean I am an Undertale channel. I will talk about anything that interests me, and that's everything I have to say. Until next time, actually it's not, because this is future me. By the time this goes out, there might be a Moon Knight video or a video before it, I don't know. But as of writing this and recording this, then this would be the first video. But now, for real this time, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, do it all.